One autumn morning, the Lantern Crust Bakery was filled with the sweet smell of cinnamon and fresh bread. Today was Grandma Hazel's birthday. Eddy unlocked the bakery door. Penny arranged fresh blueberry muffins inside the display case. Mochi stretched sleepily inside his cozy basket. Soon, Rio would arrive with fresh apples for Grandma Hazel's favorite pie. Eddy smiled. Today, they would finally bake using Grandma Hazel's recipe book, the most treasured book in the bakery. Every recipe had been written by Grandma Hazel herself. Every page held happy memories of birthdays, family dinners, and warm afternoons spent baking together. Eddy walked toward the special shelf. He reached for the book, but his smile faded. The shelf was empty. "No," he whispered. "It can't be." "Penny," he called softly. "I can't find Grandma Hazel's recipe book." Penny hurried over. She looked at the empty shelf. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "It was here last night," said Eddy. "I'm sure of it." Penny smiled gently. "Maybe you placed it somewhere else. We'll find it together." They searched every cupboard, every shelf, behind the cookie jars, inside the flour cabinet, under the mixing bowls, inside the bread baskets. Nothing. Eddy searched the pantry. Penny opened every kitchen drawer. Still, the recipe book was nowhere. Mochi jumped down from his basket. His little nose twitched. He sniffed beneath the table, behind the oven, near the window. Then he stopped. Mew. Everyone hurried over. "What is it?" asked Rio, who had just arrived, with a basket of shiny red apples. Mochi stared at the floor. There, almost hidden, was a tiny trail of white flour. Only a few little marks, almost invisible. Eddy knelt down. "I don't remember dropping flour here." Penny smiled. "I think we found our first clue." The flour trail led quietly toward the back door. Eddy opened it. A cool autumn breeze floated inside. Outside, the bakery garden glowed in the morning sun. Bright pumpkins rested beside neat rows of vegetables. Golden butterflies fluttered above the flowers. The little trail continued across the stone path. Carefully, the friends followed, past the herb garden, past the old watering can, past the tiny birdhouse, where bluebirds sang cheerful songs. Then Rio suddenly stopped. Look, caught on a blackberry thorn, was a tiny piece of paper. Eddy carefully picked it up. His eyes widened. It came from Grandma Hazel's recipe book. Penny nodded. The wind must have carried it. The mystery was growing. Beyond the garden stood the old windmill. Its wooden blades turned slowly in the gentle breeze. The flour trail continued toward it. Crunch went the autumn leaves beneath their feet. The windmill creaked softly. Everything felt peaceful. Everything felt quiet until the trail led toward the forest. Tall trees stood proudly with leaves of gold, orange, and deep red. Sunlight filtered through the branches. Tiny birds filled the woodland with cheerful songs. "This way," said Eddy. Together, Eddy, Penny, Rio and Mochi stepped carefully into the quiet forest. None of them knew where the clues would lead. But somewhere among the trees, Grandma Hazel's recipe book was waiting to be found. The forest grew quieter with every step. Soft moss covered the woodland floor. Tiny mushrooms peeked beneath old tree roots. The fresh autumn air smelled of pine needles and fallen leaves. Before long, the friends met. A cheerful squirrel gathering acorns. "Good morning," said Penny. "We're looking for Grandma Hazel's recipe book." The squirrel paused to think. "I did see something floating through the trees yesterday evening. It drifted toward the little creek." "Thank you," said Eddy. The friends hurried on. Soon they reached a sparkling stream. Crystal clear water flowed gently over smooth stones. A family of ducks floated peacefully across the water. "Excuse us," asked Rio. "Have you seen a recipe book?" The mother duck smiled. "I have. It went toward the great old oak." The friends thanked her and crossed a tiny wooden bridge. Bright autumn leaves drifted softly along the stream. Everything felt peaceful. Then they heard a tiny sound, very soft, very quiet. Someone was crying. The friends stopped and listened carefully. Again, they heard the tiny cry coming from behind the great old oak tree. Slowly, they walked around its enormous trunk. There, curled into a tiny ball, sat a little dormouse. He shivered in the cool breeze. Beside him lay Grandma Hazel's recipe book. Eddy smiled softly. "There it is." The little dormouse looked up with worried eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't steal it. The wind blew it into the forest. I found it near the path. I wanted to bring it back, but I got lost. I couldn't find the bakery. I was afraid to leave it alone. Left, you get. So I stayed to keep it safe." Penny smiled warmly. "You stayed with the book and all night." The little dormouse gave a tiny nod. "I covered it with big leaves. When the rain came, I didn't want the pages to get wet." Eddy carefully picked up Grandma Hazel's recipe book. He gently opened it. Every page was safe. Every recipe was still there. Not one page was missing. His smile returned. "Thank you," he said kindly. "You took very good care of Grandma Hazel's recipe book." The little dormouse blinked. "You aren't angry," Eddy smiled. "No, 40. You were only trying to help." Rio laughed softly. "Then let's all go home." The little dormouse gave a shy smile. "My name is Pip. It's nice to meet you." Together, the 5 friends walked home, past the little bridge. Soon, the little mouse bakery appeared between the trees. Warm golden light glowed through the windows. A delicious smell of fresh bread floated outside. Grandma Hazel had just arrived. She smiled when she saw everyone together. Then her eyes filled with joy. "My recipe book," she whispered. Eddy gently placed Grandma Hazel's recipe book into her paws. "We found it, and we made a new friend." Pip stepped forward. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. couldn't find my way, Grandma Hazel knelt beside him. She smiled with gentle eyes. My dear, there is nothing to be sorry about. You protected my recipe book. That was very thoughtful and very brave. Pip smiled. His little heart felt warmer than ever. Come inside, said Grandma Hazel. Let's bake together. The cozy bakery soon filled with happy laughter. Fresh apples were washed. Sweet cinnamon was sprinkled into a wooden bowl. Warm butter melted slowly. Soft pastry was rolled across the floured table. Pip helped Eddy shape the pie. Rio peeled the shiny apples. Penny carefully decorated the crust with tiny pastry leaves and little flowers. Grandma Hazel smiled as Eddy followed her handwritten recipe. Before long, the beautiful apple pie was ready. Its sweet aroma filled every corner of the bakery. The pie cooled on the windowsill while everyone shared warm tea and laughed together. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the trees, Grandma Hazel closed her eyes. She made a birthday wish. Then she blew out the little candle. Everyone clapped. Everyone cheered. Before putting away the recipe book, Grandma Hazel opened the very last page. There was one empty space. She looked at Pip. What is your favorite cookie? Pip smiled. My mother's hazelnut cookies. Grandma Hazel carefully wrote the recipe onto the final page. Then she smiled. Now, your family's recipe will always have a home inside my recipe book. Pip's eyes sparkled with joy. He had arrived as a stranger, but tonight he left as part of the bakery family. That evening, Eddy carefully placed Grandma Hazel's recipe book back on its special shelf. He tied its little ribbon, closed it gently, and smiled, because sometimes the sweetest recipes aren't made with flour or sugar. Sometimes they are made with kindness, friendship, and love. Outside, the stars twinkled softly. Inside the bakery, every heart felt warm, and everyone drifted peacefully to sleep.